Hello, everyone. This is K. Lakshmi Rao. Welcome to APRJC family. Today, I am going to discuss about the transportation of gases, respiratory gases. It means oxygen and carbon dioxide. Before that, let me complete the remaining part of the previous lesson. The last bit, that is gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange at alveolar level, that means lung level, and tissue level. Okay. Look here. First of all, pulmonary gas exchange can also be described as external respiration. See here, this is alveolar air and this is pulmonary capillaries running through the alveolar network. In alveolar air, what about the partial pressure of oxygen and what about the partial pressure of CO2? The partial pressure of oxygen is about 104 mmHg and the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is about 40 mmHg in alveolar air. Here in pulmonary capillaries, the PO2 is about just 40 mmHg and PCO2, that means partial pressure of carbon dioxide, is about 45 mmHg. So what will happen here? In other words, the oxygen concentration is very high in alveolar air. The oxygen concentration is lower in pulmonary capillaries. Then what will happen? Automatically, that oxygen diffuses into the capillaries because of its high concentration in the alveolar air. It is diffused into the pulmonary capillaries. At the same time, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in pulmonary capillaries is high than that of the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in alveolar air. Automatically, in opposite direction, that carbon dioxide will diffuse into the alveolar air. Later, it is sent out. Okay. Then, diffusion of O2 from alveolar air to pulmonary capillaries and diffusion of carbon dioxide from pulmonary capillaries to alveolar air. Alveolar air. It happens, already I told you, that it happens in opposite direction. It happens in opposite direction due to the differences in partial pressures of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide of alveolar air and pulmonary capillaries. Right. Next, systemic gas exchange. It is at tissue level, tissues. It is also called internal respiration. What will happen here? Diffusion of oxygen from systemic capillaries and diffusion of carbon dioxide from tissues to the systemic capillaries because of the differences in partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide of blood in the systemic capillaries and in tissues, opposite direction. Okay, see this? In systemic capillaries, the partial pressure of oxygenated blood, systemic capillaries, that means in arterioles are divided into capillaries. So those capillaries are called systemic capillaries. In systemic capillaries, the partial pressure of O2 is high, but in tissues, the partial pressure of O2 is 40 mm Hg because of continuously cellular respiration in tissues. The partial pressure of oxygen is lower, and then the partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the blood of systemic capillaries is about just 40 mm Hg, but in tissues it is about 45 mm Hg because of cellular respiration. Carbon dioxide, as it is an end product of cellular respiration, more carbon dioxide, and carbon dioxide concentration is a little bit high in tissues, but carbon dioxide concentration in the blood of systemic capillaries is lower than that of partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the tissues. Then automatically carbon dioxide diffuses into the systemic capillaries and oxygen diffuses into the tissues. Then it is utilized for catabolic processes. Next, transportation of gases. Okay, transportation of gases, respiratory gases, that is oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, we all know that blood is the medium of transport for oxygen and carbon dioxide. Blood is the medium of transport for oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, let us take oxygen, transport of oxygen. Oxygen is transported from lungs to the tissues by two ways: through plasma, that is in dissolved condition, by blood through plasma, and the first method is through plasma, and the second method is by blood. Okay, 100 ml of oxygenated blood can deliver just 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues under normal conditions. Okay, next, what about the transportation of oxygen through plasma? Just about 3% of oxygen is carried through the blood plasma in a dissolved state as a dissolved gas, because in plasma 60% of water is there. So oxygen is dissolved in plasma in a dissolved, about 3% of oxygen is carried through the plasma in a dissolved state as a dissolved gas. And what about the second method, by blood? About 97% of oxygen is transported by RBCs in the blood, because in RBCs we all know that a red colored pigment, hemoglobin, in the form of oxyhemoglobin, it is transported. Oxygen is transported to the tissues. So about 97% of oxygen is transported by the RBC in the blood. Okay. A red colored respiratory pigment called hemoglobin is present in RBCs. Hemoglobin is the main component in oxygen transport throughout the body. Okay. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 molecules of oxygen. Each hemoglobin molecule can carry 4 molecules of oxygen. What is the reason behind that? In HB, that means hemoglobin, 4 heme atoms are there, so that 4 heme molecules are there, so that it can carry 4 molecules of oxygen. Okay. Binding of oxygen with HB occurs when the PO2 is high. You can take at lung level, or you can take at tissue level. Whenever the partial pressure of O2, you can take lung oxygen binding, that means oxygenation of hemoglobin occurs at lung level only. So binding of oxygen with Hb occurs when the PO2 is high. That means already just I told you that partial pressure of oxygen in the alveolar air is very high. That is about 104 mmHg. Whereas in the capillaries, pulmonary capillaries running through the alveoli, the partial pressure of O2 is just 40 mmHg, so that oxygen diffuses into the pulmonary capillaries, and then that oxygen reacts with Hb and oxyhemoglobin is formed. That is called oxygenation of blood. Look this equation, hemoglobin plus oxygen, oxyhemoglobin. It is a complex. Oxyhemoglobin is formed. Before binding with oxygen, with hemoglobin, actually the blood is purplish bluish red color. After oxygenation of hemoglobin, that is bright red color. Next, hemoglobin plus 4O2, 4 molecules of oxygen, HbO2 4. This is oxyhemoglobin. This is called oxygenation of hemoglobin. Oxygen binds to hemoglobin in a reversible manner to form oxyhemoglobin. Reversible manner means, I have mentioned there, capable of being reversed. This is called oxygenation of hemoglobin. This oxyhemoglobin is dissociated into hemoglobin and oxygen at tissues. Oxygen automatically enter into the tissues. That hemoglobin remains in the RBC. Okay, right. At tissues where the PO2 is low, oxyhemoglobin dissociated into Hb and 4O2, like this. That O2 enter into the tissues for catabolic processes. Here, the other factors that influence oxygenation of hemoglobin are PCO2, partial pressure of CO2, pH, that means hydrogen ion concentration, and temperature. Okay. Look this graphical representation is about oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. Oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. In longitudinal axis, we take oxyhemoglobin percentage. This is y-axis, longitudinal axis. We have taken that oxyhemoglobin percentage saturation. This is horizontal axis, x-axis. We have taken the partial pressure of oxygen in mmHg. This is x-axis, and this is y-axis. Observe here, in alveoli, high pH, low carbon dioxide, less carbon dioxide, and low temperature at alveoli. Moreover, that the partial pressure of oxygen is very high in alveolar air. Here, observe here at tissues, low pH, high carbon dioxide concentration, and high temperature. These are the conditions are favorable for oxygenation of hemoglobin, and these are the conditions are favorable for dissociation of oxyhemoglobin. Okay. It is the graphical representation of percentage saturation of oxyhemoglobin at various partial pressures of oxygen. And this oxygen hemoglobin curve, it is highly useful in studying the effect of factors such as partial pressure of carbon dioxide, hydrogen ion concentration, and temperature, etc. on the binding of oxygen and that is not ABD, that is and. Please ignore the typos. This is oxygen and hemoglobin. And moreover that, it describes the relation between partial pressure of oxygen and the oxygen saturation. In the alveoli, high PO2, low PCO2, high pH, that means lesser hydrogen ion concentration, and lower temperature. I just told you these factors are favorable for the formation of the oxygenation of hemoglobin. And what about in the tissues? Low PO2, high PCO2, that means high carbon dioxide partial pressure, low pH, that means high hydrogen ion concentration, and high temperature. These conditions are favorable for dissociation of oxygen from oxyhemoglobin. Under these conditions, oxygen dissociation curve shifts away from the y-axis to the right. Thus, a sigmoid curve is obtained, that elongated S-shaped sigmoid curve is obtained when percentage saturation of hemoglobin with O2 is plotted against partial pressure of oxygen. Next, this curve is called oxyhemoglobin dissociation curve. Right. Bohr effect. What is Bohr effect? The effect of the PCO2 and hydrogen ion concentration on the oxygen affinity of hemoglobin is called Bohr effect. Oxygen affinity means bond, a natural linking with hemoglobin. For instance, increase of CO2 in the blood, decrease in pH results in the reduction of the affinity of hemoglobin for O2. What are the conditions? Mentioned here? The partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high in the blood. Decrease in pH results in the reduction of the affinity of hemoglobin for O2. In other words, a rise in partial pressure of carbon dioxide and fall in pH decreases the affinity of Hb for oxygen. On the other hand, a fall in the partial pressure of carbon dioxide and rise in the pH, completely opposite. Observe here. A rise in the PCO2 and fall in the pH decreases the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. On the other hand, a fall in partial pressure of carbon dioxide and rise in pH increases the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. So this is clearly indicated that oxygen gets bound to Hb at the lung surface. Why? The partial pressure of PCO2 is very high at a lung surface, so that oxygen gets bound to Hb at the lung surface and gets disassociated at the tissues, because in the tissues PCO2 is high, but in the systemic capillaries partial pressure of oxygen is high. Partial pressure of oxygen is high in the systemic capillaries, whereas in the tissues the partial pressure of oxygen is less. So next, transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is transported in three ways. First one is in dissolved state. Second method as bicarbamino compounds. And the third method as bicarbonates. Look here, in the dissolved state, how much of carbon dioxide is transported? How much of carbon dioxide is carried in dissolved state? Just 7%. 7% of carbon dioxide is carried in a dissolved state, physical solution through plasma. Observe this equation. CO2 plus H2O produces carbonic acid, H2CO3. Okay, in your textbook there is one important question under this do you know heading, that is, why the pH of deoxygenated blood is less than that of oxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood means venous blood. Oxygenated blood means arterial blood. Why the pH of that? pH is not mentioned in the textbook. There is a little gap in between D and off. This is not mentioned in your textbook. Observe that. Why the pH of deoxygenated blood is less than that of oxygenated blood? Okay. I mentioned some features of venous blood to better understand the answer to this question. See here, venous blood is typically colder than arterial blood. That means deoxygenated blood is typically colder than arterial blood and has a lower O2 content and pH. At a pH is lower, at the same time O2 content is also very low in venous blood. That means deoxygenated blood. And venous blood has a lower concentrations of glucose and other nutrients. Next characteristic of venous blood, it has higher concentration of urea and other waste products. Because of the presence of dissolved CO2 which forms carbonic acid, the acidity is also higher in venous blood. That is because of the presence of dissolved carbon dioxide which forms carbonic acid, the acidity is also higher. Thus, the presence of free hydrogen ions increase acidity, lowers pH of venous blood. That is the reason. Actually, the low pH of venous blood, that is the reason. Thus, the presence of free hydrogen ions increase acidity, in turn lowers pH of venous blood. Next, as carbamino compounds, 20 to 25% of carbon dioxide combines directly with a amino group of hemoglobin and forms carbamino hemoglobin in a reversible manner. See that equation. That NH2 is the amino group of hemoglobin. CO2 combines with that amino group. Carbamino hemoglobin is produced. So partial pressure of carbon dioxide is high and partial pressure of oxygen is low, as in the tissues. Binding of more CO2 occurs. Next, PCO2 is low and PO2 is high, as in the alveoli. Dissociation of carbon dioxide from carbamino hemoglobin takes place. That carbon dioxide diffuses into the alveolar air and later it is sent out. In other words, carbon dioxide which is bound to hemoglobin from the tissues is delivered at the alveoli. Okay. Hemoglobin. It has some special features. Hemoglobin is an amphoteric compound. Which means reacting chemically as either an acid or a base. Next, it has the peculiar character of taking more O2 in O2 rich areas. That means at lung surface and leave carbon dioxide. And accepting more carbon dioxide in areas where the carbon dioxide is more and leave oxygen. That means at tissues. In other words, at tissues, hemoglobin can react with the carbon dioxide and leave oxygen. At lung surface, hemoglobin can react more with oxygen and leave carbon dioxide. That is the peculiar character of hemoglobin. Next, as bicarbonates, about 70% of carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonate. 70% of the carbon dioxide is transported as bicarbonates. That means the majority of carbon dioxide, the major portion, the large amount of carbon dioxide is transported as a part of bicarbonate system. As the tissues, partial pressure of CO2 is high due to cellular respiration. Oxygen is continuously, that is because of oxygen is continuously utilized in each and every cell of our tissues in our body, so that continuously that carbon dioxide is formed. Because of that, at tissues, partial pressure of carbon dioxide is very high due to cellular respiration. So carbon dioxide is diffused into RBC and plasma and formed carbonic acid, H2CO3, carbonic acid. What about carbonic acid? It is a intermediate compound and a weak acid, unstable compound. Carbonic acid is an unstable intermediate and weak acid. So that is immediately dissociates into bicarbonate ions and hydrogen ions. RBCs contain a very high concentration of enzyme called carbonic anhydrase, simply CA. A minute quantity of this enzyme also present in the plasma. Major portion of a large amount of that carbonic anhydrase enzyme is present in our RBC. So the carbonic anhydrase facilitates the following reaction in both the directions. See here, carbon dioxide reacts with H2O, H2CO3. That H2CO3 dissociates into bicarbonate and hydrogen ions. These reactions are actually catalyzed. By this enzyme carbonic anhydrase. This is very, very, very most important enzyme. That is because this is only the enzyme in our body that can convert the carbon dioxide into bicarbonate ions. So that this is most important enzyme in our body. That is because of this is the only enzyme that can convert this carbon dioxide into bicarbonate ions. At alveolar site, the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is low, so this reaction proceeds in the opposite direction, leading to formation of CO2 and H2. Every 100 ml of deoxygenated blood delivers approximately 4 ml of carbon dioxide to the alveolar air. But every 100 ml of oxygenated blood delivers 5 ml of oxygen to the tissues. But every 100 ml of deoxygenated blood delivers approximately just 4 ml of carbon dioxide to the alveolar air. This is the bicarbonate reacts with hydrogen ions in the presence of carbonic anhydrase Ca. H2CO3 carbonic acid is formed at alveolar site, that is dissociates into carbon dioxide and H2O. This is also in the presence of, this reaction is also catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase, simply Ca, at alveolar site. That carbon dioxide diffuses into the alveolar cavity. Later it is sent out. Next, another important topic, chloride shift. Chloride shift. Actually, this diagram is not mentioned in your textbook. It is very, 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 very important topic for your IPE as well as NEET. So, you need to practice, you need to draw and practice this diagram. See here, this is tissue. This is a tissue. And this is the endothelium of This is the endothelium of capillary. So this is capillary. This is endothelium of capillary. And this is RBC. Okay. This is RBC. In endothelium of, in this capillary plasma, this is totally plasma. This is RBC. This is endothelium, which is made of simple squamous epithelium, single cell thick. This is another wall of endothelium. Okay, this is capillary. This is tissue. I will explain you very clearly. In the tissues, this is the equation for cellular respiration, catabolic process. C6H12O6 reacts with 6 molecules of oxygen, produces 6 CO2 and H2O and energy. So, in each and every cell of our body, that means in our tissues, in each and every cell has to perform this catabolic process for to produce energy. So this carbon dioxide is continuously formed in cells. So that carbon dioxide diffuses out of the cells, that means in intercellular spaces of the tissue. Carbon dioxide diffuses into the intercellular spaces of a tissue from the cells. That is because of catabolic processes. Continuously that carbon dioxide is formed. So it diffuses into the intercellular spaces. This is intercellular space. Imagine just that it is intercellular space. From this, it is diffused into the plasma of capillary running through the tissue. That carbon dioxide crosses this endothelium of capillary and enter the plasma through a process called diffusion. Look here. From this plasma of capillary that enter into the RBC. See here, observe here. Through the process called diffusion. Okay. Then that carbon dioxide reacts with H2O, produce H2CO3, carbonic acid. This reaction is catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase. As I told earlier, that carbonic acid is unstable, intermediate and a weak acid. Because of those reasons, that immediately that carbonic acid dissociates into bicarbonate and hydrogen ions. This reaction is also catalyzed by Ca, that means carbonic anhydrase. So that it is a very important enzyme that can convert this carbon dioxide into bicarbonate. Okay. So see here, these hydrogen ions are continuously formed because of these reactions. So automatically the RBC, the pH of RBC is decreases. Because of the continuously forming of that hydrogen ions due to this reaction these hydrogen ions are continuously formed. It results in decrease the pH of RBC. So this is oxyhemoglobin. These hydrogen ions destabilizing the oxyhemoglobin and produces reduced hemoglobin or acid hemoglobin. These hydrogen ions impair, weaken the oxyhemoglobin, that means destabilizing the oxyhemoglobin and produces and disassociates the oxygen from hemoglobin. The oxygen from hemoglobin. Here HbO8, that means 4O2. 2 into 4, 8 oxygen, 4 oxygen molecules, 8 atoms. Okay. That oxygen diffuses into the plasma of capillary, and from there it crosses this endothelium of the capillary, that means it diffuses into the intercellular spaces, and then from there it diffuses into the each and every cell for these reactions, catabolic processes to produce energy, that means cellular respiration. This is acid hemoglobin or reduced hemoglobin. And what about this bicarbonate ions? What about this bicarbonate ions? Okay, I will explain later. Before that, this is, what is this? This is the plasma membrane of RBC. This is the cell membrane or plasma membrane of RBC. You remember that. That is a very important point. This cell membrane is impermeable for cations. This cell membrane is impermeable for cations such as hydrogen ions, potassium ions or sodium ions. But it can permit to cross these bicarbonate ions from RBC into the plasma of capillary. So these bicarbonate ions, anions, are negatively charged. Observe. These bicarbonate ions crosses this plasma membrane and enter into the plasma of the blood, which is in the capillary. So what will happen? Some electrostatic imbalance is created in the RBC. Some electrostatic imbalance is created in the RBC. To avoid that condition, to maintain the electrostatic balance in the RBC, from plasma of the blood, the chloride ions, anions will enter the RBC. This is called chloride shift. The movement of chloride ions from the blood into the RBC, and the movement of bicarbonate ions from the RBC. These bicarbonate ions travel towards plasma. These chloride ions travel towards the RBC. This is called chloride shift. So the movement of chloride ions from plasma to the RBC and the movement of bicarbonate ions from the RBC to the plasma, to the blood plasma of capillary is called chloride is called chloride shift. If one ion of bicarbonate get out of the RBC, one anion of bicarbonate get out of the RBC, one ion of chloride will enter into the RBC. So this is called chloride shift. Reverse chloride shift, it occurs at the tissue level, but reverse chloride shift occurs at a lung level, where the chloride ions move towards plasma and bicarbonate ions move towards RBC. Reverse. This is called reverse chloride. This is called reverse chloride shift. Okay. Next, the reverse events takes place in the pulmonary capillaries. Bicarbonate is pumped back into the RBC and chloride pumped out. Bicarbonate is pumped back into the RBC and chloride pumped out. This is called reverse chloride shift. Okay. Carbonic anhydrase converts bicarbonate back into the carbon dioxide and water. Okay. This is the total diagrammatic representation that explains this diagram is mentioned in your textbook. Of course, it is not very clear. See this picture in your textbook. This is totally the carbon dioxide transport. As I told earlier, in the tissues, because of the continuous catabolic processes, carbon dioxide is continuously formed, and that is diffused into the intercellular spaces, and then it is diffused. This is the alveolar, this is the blood capillary. This is the blood capillary in the tissue. So that carbon dioxide enter into the capillary, and then from there that carbon dioxide diffuses into the carbon dioxide, and it reacts with H2O, that means water, and forms H2CO3 carbonic acid. As it is a weak and unstable intermediate compound, it immediately dissociates into bicarbonate and hydrogen ions. This hemoglobin picks up carbon dioxide and hydrogen ions. This is I also mentioned here that bicarbonate enter into the plasma of capillary, and chloride ions enter into the RBC. Chloride shift I have mentioned. That to the lungs. At lung level, the carbon dioxide is transported to the lungs. This is a reverse chloride shift. That means bicarbonate ions again enter into the RBC. Chloride ions escapes from RBC into the plasma. So this bicarbonate ions reacts with hydrogen ions and forms carbonic acid. This is nothing but a reverse chloride shift. So that carbonic acid is again dissociate into water and carbon dioxide. These reactions are also catalyzed by carbonic anhydrase. So that I have mentioned that it is very, very, very important enzyme. That is because of that this is only the enzyme in our body that can convert that CO2 into bicarbonate, that bicarbonate into CO2. Then from this is the capillary of lungs, alveolar, and running through alveoli. That carbon dioxide from the plasma of that pulmonary capillaries diffuses into the intercellular spaces sorry, that diffuses into the alveolar cavity, and diffuses into the plasma of capillary. This is the capillary wall. That means endothelium of capillary. Through this, that carbon dioxide diffuses into the plasma of capillary blood, and then it diffuses into the alveolar cavity through the this is alveolar wall. This is also made up of single cell thick simple squamous epithelium, so that in between these two, in the previous class I have mentioned, in between these two, that basement membrane. So this capillary wall, endothelium, and that alveolar wall, in between these two, the basement membrane, totally forms diffusion membrane. Through this, that carbon dioxide will enter into the alveolar wall. Later it is sent out by expiration or inhalation. That is all for today. Have a nice day. Take care. Stay home. Stay safe. All the best.